There is a case to be made on both sides of the white privilege issue, and that's probably why it hasn't been resolved and continues to be a thorny topic. People get discriminated against for all sorts of things. How we look, how we talk, how we walk. Even babies are guilty of discriminating. They stare longer at attractive faces than unattractive faces, or unsymmetric faces. I think it's good to try to reduce unfair discrimination wherever we can, and we should always continue to try to improve. But maybe there are some things that we can't eliminate completely, like babies staring at some faces longer than others. But this recognition of innate biases that exist within each of us does not dismiss real life experiences of discrimination that people feel. For example, I think it says something if someone feels they have to teach their child how not to get shot by a police officer. White people don't have this concern. Asian people don't have this concern. It definitely says something that this thought would only occur to an African American parent. There is at times differential treatment of people based on their race. There's no denying that. There's definitely a deeply rooted systemic issue too. We all know what the prison demographic looks like, and these vicious cycles that repeat themselves, and nothing's stopping the cycle. That there is a $1 trillion problem waiting to be solved. Then on the other side of it, I also understand those who feel they're being unfairly labeled a racist for something that they didn't do or didn't feel. To have somebody else tell you what you really think and feel, that can be frustrating. To be accused of feeling something that you really didn't feel and being told to act better, to do better, when you really don't know how you can behave any differently to do better. And that is the majority of people, I think, who get lumped into this category of bad actors. It's not fair on either side. Ultimately, both sides feel they're being judged unfairly, which begs the question, why isn't there more cross-empathy? Many white people are dealt a horrible hand in life, and you can't tell them that their skin color offers an advantage. If you grow up in poverty and starvation with a parent that beats you, how much does skin color shield you from a rotten childhood? It doesn't. You can't tell someone they're lucky to be white when every card they're holding in their hand stinks. It's no more fair to tell black people that they can't complain about their lot in life than it is to tell white people that they can't complain about their lot in life. If you want the right to complain, then allow other people to complain too. Tell me if you would rather be white with a disadvantaged upbringing than being black with a privileged upbringing. There's obviously something much bigger than skin color at play here. The cards were dealt at birth, who our parents are, where we live, what abilities or disabilities we're bestowed with. All of those things have a much bigger impact on our life than skin color. So if we sincerely want to solve problems, let's acknowledge that. Income inequality alone leads to more of the disparity we see than race does. So maybe we're chasing our tails when we fixate on race. Maybe if we take the race factor out, we can see that there are a lot bigger things that contribute to inequality and discrimination. The demands made by movements like Black Lives Matter, what are those demands exactly? Do they want reparations to be paid out? Do they want more affirmative action in colleges and workplaces? Because there's difficulty in implementing both of those demands. Like, how do you even implement such policies equitably based on skin tone? It's a really hard thing to legislate. I think Black Lives Matter protesters are spinning their wheels unless they can come up with very clear and specific requests, something that's workable. Defunding the police is not workable, and it will only get more black people killed in the process from the uptick in crime. But what is workable is reforming police procedures. That is a reasonable demand, and we should continue to push for that, things that lead to a meaningful outcome. it would serve us well to really examine cause and effect. We may want something emotionally, but what would the effect of that be? Would that give us the effect that we want or don't want? Can we employ logic more than emotion? I think we need to be purposeful. Racism exists, for sure, just as prejudice exists, against all sorts of things. Religion, politics, height, weight, crooked teeth. People with crooked teeth are perceived as less intelligent. What's being done about that prejudice? How do we get people to stop discriminating against crooked teeth? The point is, it is our nature to stereotype. There is a certain biological element there that we can't change. We generalize because that's just the way our brains are wired, to make life easier. You get chased by one ferocious animal and you learn to avoid any similar looking ferocious animal because it's just less energetically taxing to do so. So if we can't completely eliminate prejudice due to basic human neurology, what can be done about observable prejudice? Can we bring that down, minimize it further to an undetectable level? That's what the argument is really about. And I don't know the answer to that, but it is worth exploring. If we can improve, we should try to. Everybody needs to look within themselves and ask these questions. But I don't think it serves any purpose to tell other people how they should be feeling. We can only speak for ourselves, right? If you feel a certain way, okay. And if it was because of someone else's actions, okay, you can say so, but then don't automatically jump to the conclusion that you know the intention behind that action, because only that person knows their true intention. And maybe they don't. Some people lack self-awareness. I'm aware of that too. But what I'm saying is, it's not any more fair to accuse someone of having biases that they may or may not have than it is to be biased against in the first place. Being treated biasly is not fair, and being accused of being biased when you're not is not fair. We can look inwardly and judge inwardly, but the moment we judge outwardly, there is the possibility that we can be wrong. Allow for that possibility. We are all just flawed humans here. So if we give each other that little benefit of doubt, that can go a long way to a more tolerant society. I do think a little bit of perspective can help. When we look at other countries that are blatantly racist, they don't even try to hide it. Countries that are openly racist and make no apologies for it. Countries that require you to attach your photo to your resume, where you might get paid less or not get hired at all because of your ethnicity. And in South Africa, white people get discriminated against. And that discrimination is arguably much worse than the covert discrimination in developed nations. So if you happen to live in a developed nation where the discrimination is at least covert, where it's still being talked about and attempts are made to raise even more awareness and people are still trying to find ways to do better, that is a big step above where so much of the rest of the world is. Maybe it can help to look at it that way. As a Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Middle Eastern, whatever you happen to be, is there any better place to express your views, to be who you want to be, than in a free democratic society? Would you want to fight this fight in any other country? Is it even possible in some countries? I'm glad to be where I am. I'm glad to be able to have these conversations. We grow and learn from them. And to be able to do so, that's something to appreciate. Sometimes changing how you look at something can change how you feel. And there's always different ways to look at things.